This is Eric Alvarez. One quick note before we begin. This episode is available in Spanish. You are listening to the English version, which means I'm going to try to say soccer instead of fútbol. Para escucharlo en español, busca el podcast Mi Mundialista Favorito.
On August 20, 2020, Mexican defender Julián Araujo saw a video on Twitter that made his blood boil.
Was when I was getting out of training and...
In the video, you can see farm workers doing their job. It's what's in the background that infuriated the soccer player.
There was like a huge fire, a lot of smoke everywhere, and...
Julián retweeted the video with the following words: "If anyone has any further information on ways that I can help, please reach out. These men and women deserve better." In the video, you can see what appears to be a wildfire, with columns of smoke devouring the blue sky.
We couldn't verify where the video was taken or who recorded it. Still, for Julián, seeing the video reminded him of something he's always known.
I know it's a difficult job. They work under all terrible conditions.
The video upsets him, but also saddens him, because in those workers' faces, he sees his dad's face.
My dad worked in the field. His first job when he came to the United States was working in the field, as well as my mom, my aunts, uncles, my brother has.
That's why for Julián, being the son of a farm worker in the World Cup doesn't just make him proud. It also gives him an overwhelming sense of responsibility to do something for that community.
I've grew up around it my whole life, and that's why I want to use my voice and my platform to help this cause.
I'm LX News host Eric Alvarez, and I'm joined by Juan Pablo Angel, a Colombian goal-scoring machine.
Thank you, Eric. This is My New Favorite Futbolista, where we introduce you to some of football's brightest stars and the causes they're fighting for off the pitch.
Julián Araujo grew up in Lompoc, California, a city with about 44,000 people, 2 hours north of Los Angeles.
The city gets its name from the Chumash, people words for lagoon.
It's a small little town. Everybody kind of knows each other. We have a good football high school team. Soccer team's all right.
Today, Lompoc is one of the most important hotspots for agriculture in California and the country. The fields in Lompoc produce many of the strawberries we consume in the United States. These fields are an important part of Julián's identity.
A la edad de 15 años empecé a trabajar en el campo. Claro, como todo inmigrante con documentos falsos.
Jorge Araujo is Julián's dad. The crop fields were the first places to give the undocumented immigrant from Guanajuato, Mexico, a job.
Es un trabajo muy duro. Todo el día tiene que andar uno agachado. Mínimo 8 horas hasta 9 horas. De vez hasta 10 horas y media. Todo el día era trabajar agachado. Lo primero que empecé en el campo fue la cosecha de la lechuga, después apio, después empecé el coliflor, brócoli, espinaca, cilantro, de lo que hubiera tenía que entrarle.
This is how Julián remembers those days.
I watched my dad wake up very early is something that he kind of instilled in me. You know, when I seen him waking up to go to work, I would never kind of see my dad because I was always at practice, and when I would get home, he was already sleeping. And yeah, it was just something that he got up to feed us, to feed our family, to make sure that we were good.
This is what working in the fields was like for Julián's dad.
Que se trabaja bajo el sol, bajo la lluvia, bajo cualquier circunstancia, es mal pagado y no les pagan el overtime como debe de ser.
That's why Jorge knew he wanted to leave the industry as soon as he could. After 10 years in the fields, an opportunity to become a truck driver presented itself.
Yo les decía que se superaran, que no se quedaran, que no fueran que no fueran a ser un campesino más, porque no es malo ser campesino, pero sí es duro trabajar ahí. Entonces es lo que siempre les dije yo, que trabajen por sus sueños y lo van a lograr.
His new job along with his wife Lupe's job in the school district, would be enough to support their 3 children and their dreams.
I'm thankful because they did whatever they could. They provided as much to me, my brother, and my sister to accomplish whatever we wanted to do to support our dreams.
The seeds for one of those dreams were planted when Julián was very young.
I've known from a very, very long time that I wanted to be a professional soccer player. That was all on my mind. That was all I did every day. I wasn't someone that was on video games. I was someone that was at the park kicking the ball with friends.
This is how Julián's mom, Lupe, remembers it.
Siempre hay muchas anécdotas. La dedicación se la vi siempre. Nunca, desde los 5 años que comenzó a jugar en AYSO, lo he escuchado renegar de un juego.
AYSO is one of the biggest youth soccer leagues in the United States. This interest in soccer was something that surprised the family. No one in the family had ever played it, even for fun.
No, yo nunca he tocado un balón. Es más, lo agarró con las manos nomás, pero nunca lo he pateado. No, Julián, mire, a mí no me gustaba ni siquiera ir a los juegos.
It is no exaggeration to say Julián played every single day.
Mira, este parque, pues ahí es donde él creció jugando con compañeros, amigos de mi hijo mayor.
We visited Julian's parents in Lompoc. They showed us the park Julian played in growing up. The park is literally across the street from the house.
Ya después, cuando terminaba de jugar, Julián se paraba allí en el poste y gritaba que se quería venir para la casa. Mi esposa salía y lo cruzaba la calle, Julián.
Y terminaba y ahí en ese poste se paraba, mamá, estoy listo. Ya salía para afuera y lo ayudaba a regresar a la casa.
Julián's interest in soccer quickly became an obsession.
Y llegó un tiempo que me decía, yo quiero que seas mi coach, quiero que seas mi coach. Y decía, híjole, pero yo no sé jugar, ¿no? Es más, no sabía ni que era un fuera de lugar. Nada de eso. Le dije, bueno, pues me voy a certificar. Fui y me certifiqué y al siguiente año agarré un equipo.
By 10 years old, Julián was catching the eye of his teammates' parents.
Escuchaba muchísimos comentarios de personas mayores, de amigos y no amigos, personas que solamente iban a ver un juego de fútbol en la liga de AYSO porque decían, venimos a ver a Julián, a un tal Julián Araujo.
When it came time to go to high school, Julián decided to go to Lompoc High School, splitting his time between classes there and soccer at the Santa Barbara Soccer Club. But he only spent 2 years there. At 16, an irresistible opportunity presented itself.
Les encantó cómo jugó, le ofrecieron una beca completa.
Lupe is talking about the Barça Academy, a residential training program in Arizona affiliated with FC Barcelona, one of the preeminent soccer teams in the world.
Y Julián estaba emocionadísimo y pues nada más que apoyarlo porque nos explicaron cómo funcionaba la Academia de Arizona y pues estuvimos muy contentos y sí, fue como un paso más, pero aún sin saber a dónde iba a ir de ahí.
What happened next is a quick succession of events, so pay close attention. While in the academy in 2018, Julián received tragic news.
That year, my best friend passes away, so all that kind of just plays a big part in my career. It was when I first started.
Julián was about to board a flight to La Masia, Barça Soccer Academy in Spain, when he received a text message. His best friend, Michael Taylor, had passed away unexpectedly at the age of 20. He didn't know whether to board the flight or go back home to be with Michael's family.
Y él recordó haber hablado, creo, la noche anterior con Michael y que Michael le había dicho, go and try your best. Show what you're made out of. Demuestra lo que tú puedes hacer.
To honor his friend, Julián decided to board the flight to Barcelona. Off the field, he spent the next months wandering through a dark cloud of grief. But on the field, his career was taking off. The Los Angeles Galaxy wanted him for its second-tier United Soccer League team, LA Galaxy 2.
6 months after the death of his friend, Julián became the youngest player to represent the United States in the 2018 CONCACAF U20 Championship. His success and potential were impossible to ignore.
But in November of that year, 8 months after losing his best friend, Julián received another call.
I wasn't home. I was in Florida, I think it was, for about 2 weeks.
Lo único que le dije a mi esposa que me le marcara. Y le dije, no, es que le quiero decir porque no, a lo mejor mañana ya no amanezco. Y fue que le comenté todo a él.
After weeks of feeling exhausted all the time and palpitation in his heart, Julián's dad was diagnosed with leukemia.
Es que sí le dijo, sí habló con él y le dijo, yo quiero que tú continúes con tu sueño. Yo creo que tú le eches todas las ganas y te prometo que voy a estar ahí presente el día que hagas tu debut profesional. Si tú le echas ganas, yo también le voy a poner todo lo que yo pueda.
That year was one of the most difficult for the family.
You know, my mom couldn't work, my dad wasn't working. Thankfully, they had money saved up. You know, I had just barely started my career, and they were just paying the medical bills, paying the house bills.
And he's done it! That year was bittersweet. While his dad was fighting for his life in the hospital, Julián signed his first professional soccer contract with LA Galaxy in May 2019. It was a tremendous milestone, but the accomplishment didn't change anything about his dad's prognosis.
Bueno, me estuvieron dando quimioterapia por, yo pienso que un año y algo.
Every single day he was in that hospital, his family would visit him. Even Julián, who lived more than 2 hours away, will go every night after practice.
Todavía no tenía carro. Le daban raite o conseguía a alguien quien lo trajera.
De Los Ángeles se iba a Santa Bárbara y luego yo lo llevaba a Oxnard, de Oxnard mi hermana a Los Ángeles o cualquier otro de mis cuñados. Entre toda la familia nos apoyábamos y así lo quiso hacer él y pues a la medianoche lo andábamos regresando otra vez para volver a ir a practicar. Le decía a Jorge, mi hijo, no tienes que venir, pero yo quiero venir.
They were able to get through that moment financially with help from their neighbors.
The whole Lompoc community, it was insane because we held fundraisers, and I think because of them we were able to get through the time because they helped. We had, I don't know, like tamale sale, different like fundraisers, car washes, and I think that's where we raised the most money.
A year after the diagnosis, they received the news.
Y conforme iba pasando el tiempo, pues iba mejorando hasta que, pues ahorita estoy en remisión. Sí tengo 2 años.
Yeah, he's in remission. He's good. He's clear of cancer.
The experience completely changed the family.
Cambias no se puede decir que ¿cómo dicen? De 180 grados, más bien viene siendo como el 3000 grados, porque piensas mejor las cosas, piensas lo que vas a decir, lo que le vas a decir a tus hijos, lo que vas a decirle a tu esposa, las palabras que vas a usar. Si usabas malas palabras, las cambias y dices cualquier estupidez, la cambias por una cosa buena.
But yeah, it was a difficult year, one of the most difficult years that I've had in my life, my career. But together as a family, we got through it, and I'm thankful to God. Pray every day that He's good.
The experience has helped Julián decide how he wants to write this next chapter of his life.
My mom always sees faces that were at the fundraiser that supported us through a difficult time. So we're always, as much as we can, we want to give back as well. We're thankful to God, and we want to give back as much as we can as well.
We continue to look for the helpers, people making a difference in our community.
And today we find one in a professional soccer player born and raised in Lompoc and is now giving back to his community in a very big way. His name is Julián Araujo.
In June 2020, at the height of the pandemic, Julián and the LA Galaxy Foundation donated food and grocery store gift cards to dozens of farm workers in Lompoc.
There was a note that accompanied each one of those gift cards.
When the sun goes down, you continue working. Thank you for working with your hands, your mind, and your heart.
For Julián, it was crucial to help farm workers since the community was deemed essential workers during the pandemic. But unlike other essential workers like doctors, nurses, and grocery store workers, farm workers tend to have far fewer rights and protections.
En este país, los trabajadores agrícolas fueron excluidos de la ley laboral federal en el siglo pasado en los 1930s.
Diana Telefson Torres is the executive director of the United Farm Workers Foundation, an organization that advocates for the rights of field workers in the United States.
En aquel entonces, congresistas dijeron que la ley laboral no necesitaba cubrir a los trabajadores del campo, porque las personas afroamericanas no se merecían los mismos derechos que los blancos. Fueron sus palabras en aquel entonces.
Diana is referring to the National Labor Relations Act of 1935. The law established the federal right of private sector workers to organize trade unions and strikes. Back then, the majority of farm workers were black.
Y esas leyes siguen hoy, excluyendo a los trabajadores, sean afroamericanos, sean mexicanos, sean latinoamericanos.
The aftershocks of these laws can be felt every day. Today, agricultural workers in many states have fewer rights and fewer protections than other workers. In fact, California is the only state where overtime pay for farm workers is required by law. And that only happened in 2016.
Así es que algo tan básico como poder ir al baño en privacidad no existe, tienen que ir al bosque. Y en ese bosque, lo que nos estaban contando algunas de las mujeres, es que hay víboras. Así es que tienen el temor de que al ir al baño, una víbora las piquen.
The pandemic brought many of these inequities to light.
COVID-19 is disrupting the farming industry on many levels.
La distancia social de al menos 6 pies parece que no aplica para la agricultura.
Getting to the fields usually starts with a bus ride, making social distancing practically impossible.
Well, farm workers continue to stay out working in the fields, but now some of them are starting to speak out about the difficult and dangerous conditions they've been working through.
That's exactly why Julián Araujo decided he had to do something more to help farm workers in his hometown.
Julián nos contactó, quería ayudar.
In February 2021, Julián went to Lompoc with the LA Galaxy and the United Farm Workers Foundation to distribute more than $26,000 in aid.
Yeah, so I was in Lompoc when I actually gave out like some school supplies because school was about to start, some food to the family.
Él hizo muchas donaciones de pelotas de fútbol, de mochilas llenas de diferentes cosas como pasta dental, cubrebocas y muchas cosas que necesitaban las personas durante ese tiempo.
Julián also had the opportunity to connect with youth in the community. Some wore his jersey with the number 22.
I just want to say thank you for everything that he's doing for our community. It's just been hard this year. And just the help that he's able to give, just like even like the slightest thing helps a lot of families. A lot of people don't have to eat sometimes, and sorry.
Siempre le hemos inculcado que cuando él tenga un sentimiento o un deseo de ayudar a alguien, no lo piense demasiado, que lo haga porque se siente muy bonito que cuando tienes ganas de ayudar a alguien, la satisfacción de saber que hiciste una pequeña diferencia, aunque sea en una persona, es más gratificante que, no sé, a lo mejor que un gol.
I think from that day when I actually went firsthand and seen all that and had conversations with different people, is when obviously it made me want to continue to keep using my platform, to keep using what I have and whatever I can do to help them.
The United Farm Workers Foundation has a lot of goals on the horizon. One of the biggest ones is getting Congress to pass a bill that would help protect farm workers from heat exhaustion. The bill is named after Asunción Valdivia, a 53-year-old field worker who died of heat stroke.
Es uno de los trabajadores que falleció aquí en California de la insolación. Él ya tenía trabajando 10 horas en un lugar muy caluroso donde ya estaba 105 grados por casi todo el día y falleció cuando pudo haber sido prevenido.
The law would require employers to provide shaded spaces where workers can take shelter in cases of extreme heat.
Hay más días más calurosos, vemos que el clima va cambiando, que han habido muchas muertes de trabajadores del campo, que nos cuentan personas que se están desmayando, que necesitan ese break, ese tiempo para tomar, para relajar un poco su cuerpo un poco, de tomar agua.
How can you help farm workers?
Pues el movimiento campesino siempre necesita voluntarios y personas que nos apoyen. Como somos una organización no lucrativa, contamos con personas como los que están escuchando que proveen a donaciones, cualquier tipo de donación que nos ayuden a hacer nuestro trabajo. Y es como hemos llegado a muchos de los logros hasta este punto, es con la asistencia y la ayuda de las personas que saben y creen que los trabajadores del campo, las trabajadoras que alimentan a este país se merecen la dignidad que se merecen.
Julián plans to keep collaborating with the United Farm Workers Foundation whenever he can. With his work on the pitch, Julián Araujo, son of a farm worker, wants other kids like him to be able to dream as big as he has.
2 routes where I could go. One route is to achieve my goals and my dreams, and there was another route where, obviously you don't want to take, and my goal is to, give back to Lompoc, inspire the young kids, the next generation, and hopefully let them know that no city is too small and no dream is too big.
On the next episode of My New Favorite Futbolista, this U.S. defender grew up in the city that Martin Luther King Jr. once called the most thoroughly segregated city in the United States. Now he's using this platform to fight racism in soccer.
I'm not going to pretend like it was just it's just the most racist place in the world, because no, there's definitely places that are just as bad, if not worse. But I mean, I think you can kind of feel the tension, in some parts of Birmingham that you don't feel anywhere else in the world.
Get to know Chris Richards on the next episode of My New Favorite Futbolista.
Thank you for listening to My New Favorite Futbolista. There will be over 500 players at the World Cup, so we have more inspiring stories to tell. Go back to the My New Favorite Futbolista feed right now to hear previous episodes, and make sure to subscribe to get future episodes automatically downloaded to your device. This episode of My New Favorite Futbolista was produced by LX News and Telemundo. Juan Pablo Angel and I were your hosts. Fernando Hurtado wrote and edited this episode. Fernando Hurtado and Seth Rubinroyd were the supervising producers. Matthew Glasser served as managing editor. Jeremy Berg and Matt Goldberg served as executive producers. Tony Pierce was the motion graphics designer with support from Aaron Pinnell. Justin Covington, Brad Fossler, James Jeffrey, Quatzin Gutierrez, and Sanjesh Singh were the production crew. Stephen Dawson was the media manager and quality control editor.